Hello again, 7th graders. Okay, last time we were together, we added a whole bunch of stuff to your Vocab Foldable. I did want to show you, I know that you've already seen this. This is your handout 4. If you didn't already put a number on it, I highly recommend that you do so it doesn't get lost in the shuffle. And this was page 10 behind your table of contents. So I'm going to slip mine in before I forget. Okay, we're going to start with your Vocab Foldable today. We just have one last thing to put on there. Okay, so here's your Vocab Foldable. Okay, we are just going to be adding vertical angles today. Okay, so vertical angles. They are two non-adjacent, so this means they do not share a side, angles that are formed by two intersecting lines. The big thing that I want you to take away from vertical angles is that vertical angles are congruent. Okay, so let me show you in a picture. I'm also going to name this. Well, I'll save it. Well, no, I will name it because it will make it easier. So A, B, C, D, and E. So vertical angles would be like this angle right here and this angle right here. They're opposite of each other, they're formed by intersecting lines, and they are congruent. Oftentimes, when we're drawing in a picture like this, we use the arc on the inside of the angle to show that this one and this one are congruent. They have the same measure. We can also write a congruent statement for this. We can say that the measure of angle A, B, D is congruent to the measure of angles C, B, E. So this angle and this angle are congruent. Okay? I'm going to show you why they're congruent in just a moment. Go ahead and take out that note sheet that your teacher gave you. Okay, and we're going to write that topic in just a moment. Okay, so the best way to see why vertical angles are congruent is to draw a set of angles on patty paper. That's what this is called. Usually I would have you do this, but I'm not here, so I'm just going to show you. Okay. So we can say that this angle and this angle are vertical angles and that they're congruent. And watch what happens when I fold this patty paper in half. We can line up those two angles and you can see that they are congruent. They are exactly the same. Now what's cool is we looked at these two angles being congruent, but these two angles are also considered vertical angles and they are also congruent. When we fold this over on itself, you can see that those angles line up perfectly. These are exactly the same. Okay? So let's move on with our notes now. We're going to use facts about vertical angles to solve problems. What's cool is that you have all of these pieces of the puzzle now. We've looked at linear pairs. We've looked at adjacent angles. We've looked at vertical angles, supplementary and complementary angles. And next time we're together, and I will be here on Tuesday. I know I was planning on being out, but I will be here. We're going to combine them all to solve more complex problems. And it's kind of like a giant puzzle. It's really exciting. So let's go ahead and take a look at vertical angles. Let's just remember that vertical angles the most important thing I want you to know right now is they are congruent. Okay. Now we can use that. We can use the knowledge that vertical angles are congruent to find missing angles. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. Let's look at an example. Okay, so let's say that this is 38 degrees and I want to know what that angle is. Well, they're congruent. So x is also 38 degrees. Okay, so we can say angle x is 38 degrees. Now sometimes we're going to be having to set up a little equation to help us out. For example, okay, so let's say that this is 2x degrees, and this is 128 degrees. Okay, these are vertical angles. They are across from each other. They are congruent. So that means that this angle is equal to that angle. So we can set it up like that. 2x degrees has the same measure as this angle, which is 128 degrees. Now we can go ahead and solve for x, and we find that x is 64 degrees. Okay. Why don't you guys give this a shot? Let's get some practice in. You're just going to be finding the value of the variable. Okay, so this is 4x degrees, and this angle is 56. And then go ahead and try this one as well. Okay, I'm going to give you a moment to solve that, and then we'll talk about it. Okay, hopefully you had a chance to solve it. I'm going to run through it quickly. We know that these two angles are equal to each other. So 4x is equal to 56. Solve for my variable, and I find that x is equal to 14 degrees. Okay. Here, next one, these two angles are equal to each other. So 3x is equal to 117 degrees. Divide both sides by 3, and you get x is equal to 39 degrees. Okay? Okay, so I want to show you one quick thing real quick before we wrap up. We only found the vertical angles, but I'm going to combine it with linear pairs for just a moment. if you look at this, if we ignore this part of it, this right here is a linear pair. And we know that linear pairs add up to 180 degrees, which means that we can find this angle. This is going to be 124 degrees. Okay? And if this is 124 degrees, this is 124 degrees. That is what makes this such a cool puzzle type of problem, because you can use all the information given to try to fill in some gaps here. Okay, and again, this is a linear pair right here. So 117, that means that this has to be 63 degrees. And if this is 63 degrees, then this is 63 degrees, okay? I don't want to get too deep into that yet, because that's what we're going to talk about tomorrow. We're going to be combining everything that we've learned about these angle measurements to solve some multi-step problems tomorrow. But what I would like you to do is I do want you to take a moment and try to write yourself a summary down here. Your page is two-sided, mine is one-sided, but take the time to write a summary. Then here is your, whoops, sorry, this is not your homework for tonight because it's Friday, so you don't have homework. But I highly recommend that you take the rest of your class period to work on iExcel. So I'm gonna put these things back into my binder. I'm going to put my Vocab Foldable in first because I didn't put that back yet. Okay, and then I need to add this notes sheet to my binder. And this is notes on vertical angles. So this is going to be page 13. Okay, I'm going to put my page number up here in the corner. And I'm going to put this at the very end of my binder. I purposely tried to keep this lesson a little bit short. I really want you to get some practice on iExcel. When you come back on Tuesday, I'm going to have all of the points totaled up from the last 2 weeks. So you can see who's the house of the week, and we can celebrate you a little bit. All right, 7th graders, thank you so much for hanging in there while I'm away at science camp and going through these video lessons. I hope that this was able to keep you totally on track and understanding everything. When I come back on Tuesday, we're gonna build on what you already know. I'm gonna answer any questions that you've had that you haven't been able to ask. And we'll have 2 days together before it's time for a test on this topic. So I will see you soon.